Well, I thought it was a really exciting whole day and a lot of nice presentations. I made some notes and some words came actually up in many of the presentations. One word was change. The word future was pretty often. I heard the word optimism and openness. So we have the feeling that something big is happening. So is this only by coincidence or is there something more behind it? The only reason to give a speech is to change the world, said John F. Kennedy. But I'm asking, what's the reason to change the world? And I think the only reason to change the world is actually to make the presence of the future better than the past. So we have three words here. We have future, present, and past. That's obviously something that we can measure in time. So we can measure in days or hours or seconds or years or decades or whatever. So we have the past and we have the future. So how long is the present? Any idea? Mathematically it doesn't exist. Well, somebody said it's 2.7 seconds. That's the time that it takes until an idea is in your brain. The present is actually the past closest to future. What I would like to find out, and what I was researching, was if there is a possibility to find a tool to forecast the future. So I have the pleasure now, within 16 and a half minutes, to explain you 10 years of research. It's the DNA of culture, and I like to call it the meta trend. You might have heard the word megatrend. A megatrend is 10 by 6. That's pretty big. I think it's one of these marketing words which sound really mega. So I'm talking about meta-trend. Meta-trend is the trend which is overlaying over everything. I would like to also explain you the word culture, or use the word culture, because what I'm talking about is the future of the culture, and not future of this planet or nature or climate or whatever. I'm talking about the future of culture. Culture is the manifestation of human thoughts. That's everything human beings think that lead to action. And the constituting elements of culture are values. We heard this word this morning as well. So we can say that the values are the cells of culture. Now, if there is a cell, there might be a DNA, and that's what I was looking for. The natural system builds on energy and matter, and cultural values manifest material or ideal or immaterial. So there is connection between the global system, universal system, which is energy and matter, and the cultural values, which can be material or immaterial. There's one word that I have to explain also. It's the word trend. A lot of people talk about trend. That's something like fashion. That's, I'm going to make the next trend, and I'm a trend maker. Nobody can make a trend. A trend is happening. A trend is a general direction of a regular development, and that's what I was looking for, and that was I was trying to search. We learned that a trend goes like this. It comes, and it got a peak, and then it goes down again, and when it comes up to the peak, there's optimism, and when it's reached the peak and it's going down, then we have pessimism. So there was a trend before, and there will be a trend after. Now the idea is, where do they come from and where do they go to? If there would be a connection between these trends, it could actually look like this. Now if this looks like this, then we can add these, and out of a sudden we have two curves. We know this from cosinus and sinus. I have no idea about mathematics. I only know that this is related to it. I call it the meta trend. Actually, the meta trend is three-dimensional. Now it's getting complicated. It's not it's four-dimensional, to be honest. So it's not something which is that you can draw on a piece of paper. It's actually in a space, and it's a space in movement. And it looks like this. So we have the ideal and we have the material trend line, meta trend line. And they have connections with each other. They have an axis which is showing the time, and they have another axis which is showing the relevance of a trend. So when a trend is very important, that's actually the time when nobody has the feeling that there is a trend and it is important. We actually feel the trend when it's not important. That's on the x-axis, it's the conciseness. So we are aware of a trend when it's gone. And the trend there is on the x-axis, actually we see also the trend change, and here we see the trend reversal. And there is a level which is called the trend perception level. And what I did, I actually went into the past. I said, well, if this is true, we would have to be able to see it in the past. So I went into the past history, and I showed this. Actually, we know that these trends are opening 10 years each one. And I was making this kind of drawing, and I was trying to find events at this curve. And it is very important to see that in the moment when this trend is at the peak, something is happening, and when it's on the cross, something is happening. And there's nothing happening in between. So we have Galileo Galilei here. We have Martin Luther here. That's about ideal things. And here we can see that this is the material one. We had a huge financial crisis here. And at the crossing points, we had the Glorious Revolution in England, for example. The French Revolution was here. The foundation of social democracy was here. World War II was here. So everything made sense. And the funny thing is that these curves, once they are above this line, have a name. So, Renaissance, globalization, enlightenment, industrialization, social democracy, and mass consumerism actually were logic. And there is some news in it, some good news in it, actually, that there is a trend change at the moment. And the trend change is that if you look at this is about where we have been. This is 1900, pretty difficult to see. This is about... it's better to see here. Yeah, it's about 1900 here. That's about 1975. That's about 1950. And this is about where we are now. And what I did is, in order to find out if this theory is right, I went into another research, and I was researching the Conrad EF cycle. I don't know whether you heard about this. Conrad EF, he was Stalin's consultant of economy. And Stalin asked him, he said, Kondratiev, what is the development of the economy? And he said, well, you know, I see some future which is connected to capitalism. And Stalin didn't want to hear this, so he actually put him in a gulag and killed him there. And in 1950, somebody found a paper that Kondratiev had written, and he had actually found out this kind of curve. And when I saw it, I was disappointed. I said, it doesn't have anything to do with my discovery. So I said, well, it shows obviously that something is wrong. Some other people in the capitalist world, actually in 2006, American economists found out that the economy of the United States of America, going back something like 150, 200 years, was exactly the same thing as Kondratiev had shown. So the Americans and Kondratiev, the Russians, actually showed a curve which doesn't have anything to do with my curve, I thought. So I stared at this curve and I said, wow, what am I telling people now? And then I found out that there is a logic behind it. And the logic is that it is really connected. And out of this, you can see how the economy is reacting on these trends. Whenever a trend is at these points, that's something where they can do something. Here, it's going down, of course. And that's very funny, that the economy is going down when capitalism is rising. That's very interesting. And that when ideal values are very coming in, then the economy is actually very high. And at a given point, they change. They go down, and here they go up. So the economy is actually not very enthusiastic about the material trend. They obviously love the ideal trend. When you see, they always want to go to the ideal trend and want to go up. So at least when I had this, I thought this was evidence that this theory that I came up with works. Now, what are we going to learn out of this? This is where we are at the moment. Now, this is my lifetime. This is when sort of I was born. This is what I experienced in my life. This is actually the curve the real curve, and this is an idealized curve. So this is how I experienced life. Until 1975, everything was positive. When I was a student, everything was positive. We were so enthusiastic about it. Now, I started teaching actually around here, and out of a sudden, the students were sitting in front of me and said, oh, the future looks so bad. I don't know what's happening in the future. They were so totally depressed. And I said, what's happened to these guys? You know, we were so positive as students. Why are they so depressed? Well, they had to be depressed because we arrived there. And this, by the way, was the time when Stalinism happened and National Socialism happened, when they were really perverting, from my point of view, a very positive kind of ideology. But it was perverted because it went over this point. So, this is what it actually looked in 1980. So we had the material trend, which was pretty high up, and the ideal trend, which was not important. Everything was about buying, having goods, throwing away things, buying new, planned obsolescence, and all these things happened here. So, and in 2010, it changed towards this. So there is the big change. This is happening. So out of a sudden, the ideal trends will come into a positive time. And this is what we are heading for. We are at the moment here, and there is a new time which is as important as Renaissance or Enlightenment, and it's lying right in front of us. We just have to go through a certain kind of a crisis which is here. That's where when we read the news, we know about the euro is going down and everything is bad, and the crisis, financial crisis, and there's conflicts everywhere. It's absolutely natural. It has to be like this. So this is actually where we're heading for, and I think we have to take care for this moment, because then a very positive trend will turn into a negative one, and I hope that in the meantime we will have learned that a decline is an aging of a trend, and aging can be in dignity, and aging can happen very positively. So we have all reasons to be very optimistic, and all the changes which have been explained this morning make sense. And all these changes are important, and all these changes are going in the right direction. And it's exciting to be here in Poznan with a TED Talk, where we talk about the future of our society. Now, all of our rules, theories, maxims, and models, unfortunately, have an exception. And this is precisely the way our world works, except when it doesn't. Exceptions matter because nothing comes with 100% predictability. So there is no such thing as absolute certainty. So I might be totally wrong with what I told you because of this. And the only certainty that we have is that nothing is certain. Maybe. So this is the futurist Thomas Fry, who said this in 2013. So I personally believe that we have all reasons to be optimistic. I personally believe that we are heading for a time which is absolutely unique and can be as grand as Renaissance, as I said. What we do is we're not making changes, we just react on changes. And if we are intelligent, we react on the changes in the good way and take the best advantage out of what we are happening today. The next trend is actually about sustainability. It's about taking benefits. It's about use. It's about repairing this planet. Everything is looking pretty exciting. And I'm looking forward to it, and I'm a little bit jealous because my time in my profession was actually in a decline stage. Now you are going to have, or most of you are going to have your professional career in a rise change. So I would like to be part of it, but unfortunately I think I'm going out of my job and going back into my forest and have a great time there. So, thank you very much for your attention.